BU. Doyle, I know you said you looked at about 5 other schools that you were considering. Nick, what schools did you look at and what really sold you on deciding to go to BU?
So I was originally going to go to UMaine, and then my junior year, and then there was a coaching change there. So I restarted my recruiting process again. And obviously being 15 minutes from Boston, that was really a big thing, being close to home. Like, I'm a huge mother's boy. But like Doyle probably said it, and I probably missed him here saying it, but like the bean pot growing up was like the coolest thing for me, going to games, stuff like that. So being able to play in the bean pot and then be able to win one, it's probably my favorite memory in college. So I'd probably say just the location, staying close home. Like, I know I couldn't go out west. I'd miss my mom way too much.
Yeah, I feel that. I also wanted to stay pretty close to home for school, so I totally get it. I wanted to be like far enough away that like they couldn't be visiting me all the time, but like if I really wanted to go home, I could,
Yeah.
Oh, God, my mom was doing my laundry still for me.
Oh my God, I wish.
She still does.
She still does.
Are you still living in Boston or near Boston?
Yeah, so me and my best friend live at my parents' house. We live in the basement. It's pretty cool setup. Whitey. He's something up. Yeah, it's cool.
So, obviously, athletics are an important part of college, but so are academics. What was the most challenging part of balancing athletics and academics at a school as academically rigorous as BU?
I think just like hockey, just prepare. Like, don't put off stuff to the last minute because then you panic. Obviously, at BU, they gave you so many resources in order for you to do well in school. Like, we had study hall, we get any tutors. Our coaches were always checking up on our grades and stuff like that. So you really couldn't hide your bad performance. And then you didn't want to let down your teammates, being like, oh, this kid has the worst GPA and he's out partying all the time and stuff like that. So you just want to be a good kid all around. Obviously, grades are important, especially when you're in high school getting recruited. If you really don't have the best grades, it's harder to get into the bigger name schools, I would say.
Yeah, like we both went to smaller high schools. So like we were used to being in a class with like, I don't know, sometimes 7 kids, but like maybe like up to like 13 max. So like first time I walked into a class at BU with like, I don't know, 250 kids in a lecture hall twice a week. Like, it was so hard to pay attention or like just kind of actually like pick up what was going on. Like the first lecture, I honestly don't know if I heard one word. I was just like looking around the whole time, like, how am I going to do this? But
I think I was too nervous my first lecture to make sure I wrote down everything.
How did you kind of
definitely get better? Yeah,
I went to a very small private school for high school, and that's why I really struggled at Syracuse, which is why I ended up transferring to Skidmore. But how did you really end up making that adjustment from like such a small school to a big school and balance that with like the stress of being on a D1 team?
Yeah, I think like Nick hammered home, like we had to do study hall like every week, like a certain amount of hours, and so like it was kind of nice to go in there.
Your coach made you do, or the school made you do?
Probably the school, but like our coach mandated it with like if you had over a certain GPA, you didn't have to go, or if you were like under a certain, you had 6 hours, and some people even had 10. So like just going there, and like they always had people in the class that could like help you take notes, or I would always sit with them just to like make sure I was like really paying attention, and like they always had the resources there to help you out.
That's great.
And I don't know, for me, like I went into communication school. Like I actually liked the stuff, so that helped. I was actually interested in all the classes. So,
I think, that's the one thing. Obviously, you're going to college, you're playing a sport, like you're so focused on that. But I really wish when I was a senior in high school, I knew exactly what I wanted to study going into college. You know what I'm saying? But I went to communication school as well. Obviously, I'm a hockey skills coach. Coach, I'll see you, buddy. So I'm definitely not using my degree quite yet, but like Doyle said, you should be prepared. I mean, you actually have more time than people think. Like hockey, I know it's a 9-to-5 job and everything in college, but if you just get it done little by little, and then it adds up. So
yeah.
The one thing BU was really good about is we went on the road trips. The teachers got well in advance, like notice, hey, like these are the days these kids won't be here, and all the teachers want to help you too and stuff like that, because some of them are season ticket fans, like they come to the games and everything. So, oh hey, like I have Nick and Doyle in communication class. Like, oh, I just saw him play Friday. Doyle, good game, stuff like that. So everyone's rooting for you. And obviously, if you're being a bad kid, no one's going to give you the benefit of the doubt. So I think just being a good kid all around, like I keep saying, is pretty important.
Yeah, he kind of hit it with like they always are helping. Like all the teachers are. Like our first 2 years at BU, we had to go into the general studies one where like you do all your basic courses.
They don't have that anymore, Doyle.
Oh, really? I don't know, but that was the biggest change. Like going into that, like the tests were all like those standardized testings. It was almost like taking the SAT again. Like I just struggled with that aspect, like going and studying. But like once the teachers kind of like I actually had a communication like line with them. Go meet with them in office hours and stuff, and we kind of go over stuff together. Like it really helped just talking to them and not necessarily having extra time while the test, but at least like kind of getting a gist of what's going to be going on.
So now I'm going to ask a question that's a little bit more related to the recruiting process. So, most collegiate hockey players these days, and I'm assuming when you guys were being recruited, they go play juniors for a few years. Is this something that you guys did, and is this something that you recommend, or you feel like it's not necessarily something that you have to
do? Well, we have the same story based on this one. We both went to a Catholic high school in Mass, and then Doyle repeated his sophomore year at Kimball Union. I repeated my junior year at Kimball Union. Okay. So we did 5 years of high school instead of doing a year of junior hockey. But then for hockey and basketball and stuff, like there's the post-grad year. So people can do 4 years of high school at like your local high school and then do a post-grad year at a prep school or something like that. But
yeah,
I was fortunate enough, Doyle was fortunate enough, like we didn't have to go the junior route. But I mean, it's not bad. At the end of the day, as long as you're playing college hockey.
Yeah.
Like I tell my young students, I'm like, hey guys, like what are your goals? Everyone says, oh, Division I. I go, okay, let's be realistic. And stuff like that. And I think if kids want to get to their dream school and stuff, yeah, it's all do whatever you can take. But there's got to be a point in time where it's like, all right, I don't think I'm going to go Division I. I think I should find a Division III school with good academics, good social scene, stuff like that, instead of just keep playing juniors and juniors and juniors.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always like when we were coming out, a lot of the kids on our Kimball Union team were going directly to school. And a lot of other friends that we grew up with were going right into college. Like at first I was kind of like, oh, to do a year of junior, like I almost looked at it as a bad thing. Like you need to take time and stuff. But at the end of the senior year, I went out and played in the USHL in the Midwest, and I played 10 games and lived with a billet family in Muskegon. And I kind of like, that was the first time I actually understood like junior hockey can only help like make you more ready. The tough thing about prep school is you only play, I think we played like 35 games a year, and then you have to play other sports. For the USHL, like you're driving around in a bus and you play 60 something games, and you're working out, and like you still go to school, but a lot of it's hockey focused, and I think it prepares you better for college. But everyone's different. Like there's not one direct path that I would say. Like looking back on it, like I was like, what's the rush?
Yeah.
I was so worried about getting to college and rushing the process. Like I think me personally, I probably could have developed another year before I got there. Like I really needed a lot of work, but it also worked out because I went in, we weren't that good my first year, and I got to play a lot. So like it's kind of everyone's situation is going to be different.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you do what feels right for you and it all works out.
Yeah.
So in terms of getting on the BU radar, like getting on a coach's radar, what are the best showcases that high school athletes can attend if they want to get noticed by BU coaches or other top coaches from BU schools?
Well, hold on, Doyle. Let me go first on this because I just know more showcases. Back when me and Doyle played, there was only like 1 or 2 showcases really. Nowadays, like I get these kids, they're 12 and 13, they're in showcases every weekend. What was fortunate for me, like I said, I was going to UMaine first. And then my senior year, I decommitted, and BU was changing coaches. But the assistant coach, like Doyle, was committed to BU for 2 years. And then we also had another kid on our team going to BU. So that assistant coach saw me play, and the head coach never saw me play, but I still got recruited by them just because, I mean, personally, it was because of Doyle and Johnny McLeod being already committed to BU that the assistant saw me play so much. And I was committed somewhere too, so it wasn't like, oh, I just flew on the radar. I got a lot of people's radar, but With the showcases, I personally think, I don't know. I'm a firm believer in just doing one or two, not doing every single one. But I don't know. What do you think?
Are there any specific ones that you say are
The
really?
I was
I
gonna
don't
say
even
like
think I did one. Did you
well
do
the
one?
specific ones I would say I don't know if they're still obviously huge. Like you said, there's a changeover all the time. Like new
Oh,
things are coming up.
satellite?
But no, I was gonna say when we were at KUA, we used to play in the Beantown Classic
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah. They
the
still have
fall
that.
and in the spring, like right before and after the season, and it would be like every D3 coach, every D1 coach, every NHL scout. It was just kind of like the top high school kids in the area would go play in that. Um, as far as like summer growing up, any tournament you're at, there's going to be a scout somewhere here or there. And it's kind of crazy to think about like the turnover of college coaches. Like everyone's trying to advance and stuff. So even if you're not at the top tournament, like I would go to tournaments sometimes in the summer and play, and it would be like just a bunch of D3 schools coaches, but like obviously as aspiring D1, but a lot of those coaches that were there are now like in the Division 1 ranks and stuff. So like any exposure is good exposure, I'd say. I just think it's kind of crazy how people are playing every weekend, like Nick said. Like it's almost like getting hockeyed
Like
out.
me and Doyle played like 3 sports growing up. I got kids that just play hockey year round.
What else did you guys play?
Baseball and then football, but we quit in high school because obviously if we got hurt.
You know what? Actually, another tournament is like if anyone's going to prep school and stuff. Like I'd look at the schedules that they play at. Like one of the huge sellers of Kimball Union is they play in the Floodmar tournament,
Oh
which is
yeah,
right
that's
outside Boston, and that same thing. Like every game you play in, it's just line. Like you don't even for high school. There's usually just your parents are in the crowd, but you go to the
yeah.
Floodmar tournament. It's right outside Boston. I'd say like any tournament around the city is the easiest thing for coaches to get to because coaches aren't really driving to rural New Hampshire to watch. Like you got to be in a better location.
And one side note to this, it's not about hockey, but the kid that went number 2 overall in basketball last year, the Ja Moran kid, whatever his name was, he was at a high school basketball showcase, and he didn't make like the All-Star game, so he had to go in the other court. And the guy from Murray State's not even a big name Division I school, was hungry, so he walked out of the main court and heard a basketball and saw this kid. He ended up committing him. Only offer the guy had. Went there, played 2 years at Murray State, and then he's the number 2 overall pick.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you just never know who's looking and watching.
Yeah, exactly.
What stinks is like you may get down on yourself when you have a bad game knowing a coach is there, but most coaches will give you a second chance and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like. But then again, I tell all these kids, hey, don't worry about so-and-so being committed already. Like that's actually better for you because you know that coach is going to be looking. And all coaches talk, you know what I'm saying? They're all friends at the end of the day. Yeah, we want to steal this guy from BC or we're taking this guy from Northeastern. But at the end of the day, they all, hey, this kid, we can't get him at BU. You should look at him, stuff like that. And like Doyle said, a lot of D3 coaches 5-10 years ago, now they made their ranks to Division I.
Yeah.
So you just never know. But I mean, the hockey world's small. Everyone's there to help.
That's great. What did you guys feel was the hardest part of transitioning from high school to college hockey?
So, I mean, our first year, me and Doyle, we go right from high school. Like, we don't play juniors. We play 30 games, not the 60-game schedule. We go in, our team wins 10 games. Me and Doyle, first line, stuff like that. At least at my end of the year meeting, my coach goes, hey, Nick, like, great freshman year. You did really well, but just don't expect to be getting these minutes next year. Like, we got Jack Eichel coming in. We got this kid coming, this kid. And I was totally fine with it. I knew my role and stuff like that. But, I mean, the biggest thing, you just got to be strong. You should go for it. You know, you can't be a wimp.
Probably like the hardest adjustment, like obviously like the easiest answer is like bigger, faster, stronger. Like everyone in college, a little more developed than in high school, and you're not playing against a 14-year-old, playing against a 23-year-old, 25-year-old in college hockey. But I'd say like my body, like just kind of growing into it. Like I hadn't really worked out as much as I should have. So BU was like a really big attraction for me because of how good the strength and conditioning was. Like I had to lose a bunch of weight and like completely transform my body to get into playing shape for college hockey. And then, yeah, just kind of like everyone's so much better, the caliber. So like the margin of error in every game is that much less.
But they prepare you so well, though. Like, I mean, like me and Doyle, we'd work out at KUA thinking we know what a workout was. We go to BU, it's like, holy crap. they're looking at what you eat, watching how you sleep, your heart rates. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And like I said about the grades, like you don't want to be a soft kid because your teammates won't go to battle for you and stuff like that. I mean, like Doyle plays in the AHL right now. He'll test it to more because there's fighting. But like if this kid always chickens out in something, Doyle's really not going to do much to help him. And then if this kid's always backing Doyle and stuff, he's going to back that guy. So everyone's pulling their own weight, but you all come together at the end of the day.
Going back to team culture a little bit, what are 3 key ingredients that you think an athlete should have to be a good team member, specifically at BU?
I think he hit like on the head with the first one, like work ethic.
Yeah.
Just because like every time, like you're being judged all the time, even when you're not, like you're in the weight room, like you're on the ice, like if you're always the one dog and always finish last, like you don't have a lot of sympathy. Like at the end of the year, we always had to do sheets where we fill out like 1 through I think 26 or whatever our roster was, like hardest worker, best teammate, like all that stuff every year. So like when people went into meetings, like it was always they wouldn't necessarily tell you like, hey, like Doyle said this about you or had you do this, but it was more of like everyone realized you need to work harder and stuff. I think that's what brings camaraderie. And then just kind of always being like available, like helping teammates or going, like being with them all the time. Like we had really close teams at BU. I think some of the reason was because we all grew up together, but a lot of it was because we spent so much time together.
We did summer school, so you were at school for 12 months of the year.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, it was fun because they gave us an apartment in downtown Boston at 19 years old. So.
I know it sounds so simple, but just being a good person, like it's just the most simple thing in the world. But like that's what we always like. Quinny would always say, like every coach I've always like had in a locker room is like, you're a good person. Like people are gonna go back for you, whether it's academics, athletics. Like they're gonna be there to help, like lend a helping hand. Like we had really good teams, but I'd say like every single person that I played with at BU for the most part, like still keep in touch with, like maybe not texting them every day, but if they ever need something or like, it's just, you go out of your way to help each other. And like, I think all the best teams always say they were the closest teams.
Not even that, like we were so close with regular students. Like some of Doyle still talks to, is Brian still living in Cleveland or did he move?
Moved, but I still talk to him. Like,
yeah, like we still talk to, and then they came to our games. They're wearing like our jerseys from like our youth teams and stuff like that. And the way you look at it, it's like, how do these fans come to games? Well, if you're really good, and also if you're nice to them, they're gonna come and support you and stuff like that. But I just thought, BU, it wasn't BU. What's cool about BU? It's a city school. It's not a campus. You know what I'm saying? So like you're really exploring everything. So you're always with someone. You're not really by yourself and stuff. And a lot of our teammates were taking classes together and stuff. So you would literally eat breakfast together, walk to class together, lunch, workout, hang out in the dorm rooms and stuff. So
it's nice to feel like you have that kind of built-in support system.
Yeah, absolutely. And like as far as you said, like any athlete, like going to the school, like you got to kind of find out like where you fit.
Of course.
Like everyone in high school is obviously like their team's best player. If you're going to whatever school, like you're, if not best, like second best, like you're so used to being like big fish in a small pond. But
yeah,
like for us, like being at BU, like Nick said, like freshman years on the first line, we didn't have a good team. Well, the next year it comes in, the first line's 3 NHL players. Like obviously, like you slide down a little bit, or like you got to kind of find your mold because you're not scoring that much. Like a lot of it is the attitude of it, like how you're going to deal with it. Because a lot of kids come in expecting the world, and if you don't have that, then and you're going to be grumpy about it, like chances are you're either A, going to leave the program, or B, you're not going to be successful. So like it's hard.
Yeah, and being coachable is huge too. Like I went from first line to third and fourth line my sophomore year, stuff like that. But I wanted to play. I didn't want to be sitting in the crowd. So, like I had to adapt to a new role, and I didn't sulk about it yet. It maybe stunk, but hey, like I'm playing on a national championship team and stuff like that. Like I'm playing with Jack Eichel, first rounder, Killian Keller, Grizzly, McAvoy, all these big names. By the way, we got 9 minutes left too, so we're gonna redo this. I'm feeling good.
I want to ask you guys one more kind of serious question, and then a couple fun questions. So first, last serious question. I'm sure you guys had to host some recruits in your time at BU, what are some do's and don'ts of hosting recruits?
Dudes, like, make sure they enjoy it. Like, whatever you do, like, bring them to do. Like, our team, like, I'm not going to mention any names, but, like, I don't know, like, being in Boston, we took full advantage, showing them, like, what it was like downtown, what it was like by BU, like, bring them to a Red Sox game if they were playing. Like, if the recruit, like, we knew, like, you show him exactly who it is and who he's going to be hanging out with and what he's going to be doing, and you tell him on school.
The don'ts, don't pressure them to doing something. Like, some of these kids are 17 years old, like first-round draft picks. If they're not of age drinking, like, don't force something down. If they want to have one beer, that's cool and stuff. But other than that, I think that's the big thing about us at BU. Like, when me and Doyle were freshmen, our seniors were so nice to us. Like, there was no hazing problems, nothing. So I think that's why we're just so close. Because then when me and Doyle became the upperclassmen, like, I'd be hanging out with the freshmen as a senior, like, texting them, hey guys, what are you guys doing? Instead of being hanging out with my senior class.
Yeah.
It's nice to really feel like you have the upperclassmen being inclusive, because like freshman year is hard. It's hard to go into college and not know anyone, and you want to feel like your team is really like there for you, and you kind of want to feel like, I guess, mentored by the older people. And
yeah,
it's kind of unfortunate when the freshmen come in and they don't have that from the seniors and they don't feel supported. So that's really great that you guys kind of went out of your way.
Yeah.
So I know you guys were looking at this question earlier. I know you're really excited to answer it. What can a player do to get kicked off the BU hockey team?
Kicked off or suspended? Which one?
No, for two of them, like, that at least happened when we were there. Like, one, academics, like lying, not going to school, or like doing homework. I know one of our friends got asked to leave in our class, and then another one just like couldn't really handle the pressures of being around the city. So fell into a little bit of the partying aspect or whatever, and it kind of got caught up with them. So then any illegal activity.
Yeah, so don't gamble. Get suspended for a year. You don't get kicked off the team. But I mean, there's at the beginning of the year, there's rule books, and the two main ones are don't gamble and don't take steroids. Oh, and and obviously drug tests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So those are the two big no-nos. And then, I mean, the biggest thing is your grades too. Like, if you're slack in the classroom, our coach don't care if you're a first-round draft pick. He'll just boot you. He's did a lot of draft picks off BU and stuff. So yeah, but I'm off not that one.
Hey, one of the things I saw earlier was like, what would you change, like, about recruiting process? I was gonna throw this in, I forgot to. Was like, make sure you check out everything. Like, I remember, like,
I gotta talk about this.
Like Nikki said, like, he didn't want to go out west because like it was too far from home, and like I had the same mindset. I want to play at BU, but one of my teammates, my first year pro, went to Michigan, and I went out to visit him, just stay like out there, go to the lake, whatever. And we ended up working out at the University of Michigan. And I remember like they called in high school. I was like, yeah, like I don't have any interest of going out to the west, and they were like, yeah, that's fine. But seeing it, being there, like being on campus, like playing a game there eventually when I was at BU. Actually take advantage and like at least go look, because you never know what you're on. Like,
for sure. I was gonna say that too. If I wasn't so close to Boston, like say I was from New Hampshire, but Boston's only an hour away, I might have been more inclined going out west. But like, look at the Big Ten schools. Those schools are so cool. Like Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. You see the football games like the first weekend of school and stuff like that. That's one thing like BU didn't have. So I mean, definitely. I mean, go on as many recruiting visits as possible. Like I'm just teasing, but like Doyle said, don't just have your eyes set on BU. Like, I know I had mine, but I was originally going to UMaine, like, because that was the best offer I had between the schools my junior year, and then BU came calling out of the blue. I was like, oh my god, like my dream. So, I mean, but I definitely would, if I had a kid that's fortunate to play college hockey, I'd definitely send him somewhere out there, just so I can go to tailgates.
All right, so I'm going to ask you guys a very BU unrelated question, just general, kind of fun question. So, obviously there are some crazy hockey fans and crazy parents out there. What is the absolute craziest thing you've ever seen a parent or fan do at a game?
What about a player? Can I change it to a player?
Yeah, of course. If you have any funny stories of
so Doyle knows this kid too. At my high school, my first high school I went to, we had this kid. He missed like 2 breakaways in like the same shift or something. and he was so mad that when he got close to the bench, he just threw his stick into the bench like a torpedo. Mid-game, just threw his stick into our bench, and we're like, what? I thought that. I mean,
That is
I'm a
absurd.
fan. I don't know.
Do you have a crazy story?
I don't know, like just more of like you see like some of the, I don't know if it's like absurd, but just seeing like the North Dakota fans, any of them. Like, I've never seen someone so passionate about something in their entire life.
We were playing them
Like we would score a goal and be like crying.
Oh my gosh, we played them our sophomore year in the national semifinals, and we're warming up where like the fans are walking in, and these North Dakota fans are just sitting like right at the rope. Look how small this chicken leg kid is and stuff.
Yeah. My uncle got kicked out of a rink one time for like, he was so fired up that like I had made it. And he's like at the garden, he's like hanging over the glass trying to take pictures of me in warm-ups, and he got kicked out.
Oh my God.
I'll call him out on that.
Yeah. But like another like down like schools, especially like fans, like some schools have cool things. Like we played at Madison Square Garden against Cornell, and when they sing the national anthem, when they say like red, because Cornell's the big red or something, the whole stadium said red. I like shook. I was like, what happened?
That's crazy.
And, North Dakota, like they say Sioux during the national anthem and stuff like that. But the coolest one was our senior year. We were playing in Fargo, North Dakota, which is an hour from University of North Dakota, in the regionals. And it was 6,000 North Dakota fans to like 25 BU fans. And we double OT. The place was quiet. It was the best. That was actually a good game. I like that one.
All right. Well, I think that's all I had. Actually, no. I have one more question. Fighting or no fighting in hockey?
Fighting.
All day.
Yeah, for sure. Like 100%. Especially now, like college, like you can't fight, but I think like the game would be way better if there was fighting, because like especially now seeing in pro, like just polices itself.
Absolutely.
You get one touch like me.
Like you just can't get away just being a knucklehead out there. Like you're gonna have to take. So
Yeah.
I think fighting all day. But to an extent, like you can't jump someone. Like back in the day, they were just old time hockey. They're just jumping everyone.
Oh, hey, about the horror story. Now that Nick's on.
Less than a minute here.
All right, this quick. So like for a horror story, like I was supposed to go visit St. Lawrence. Like Nick's gonna laugh because like in high school we used to have to sign out. So like St. Lawrence is like so fired up. Like I'm like supposed to go visit all this stuff, and like they have the whole weekend planned out. And my dad came up to pick me up on a Friday. We didn't have a game that weekend. And I forgot to sign out, so I wasn't allowed to go.
Oh wait, I got another horror story too. So at KUA, yeah, I know. We got a minute. Hold on. At KUA, a terrible service. We're in the woods, and I call UMass Lowell and tell. Oh wait, I have two stories. So I call the UMass and tell them that, I know, I will. But I had to tell them that I wasn't going to school. But mid conversation, I lost cell service.
Oh my God.
I call them back, and it was just that awkward. And then another one, I was at ULO, and the coach offered me my scholarship, and he goes, all right, what's the decision? I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I need to know your decision right now. I was like, I need to talk to my parents. He goes, all right, you got 24 hours. I was like, whoa. Anyways, and then another one too. So after you commit somewhere, like you call all the other coaches and be like, hey, like I committed this way. So I called UNH, and I called the assistant coach, left a voicemail, and then the head coach called me like 30 minutes later saying how much he loved me and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I just committed to you. But we're probably gone. But if there's any follow-up, let me know.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I